With spring pitter-pattering into our lives like little cat's feet or raindrops or something, moviegoers and TV watchers and other people who have no lives are looking forward to a new season of Hollywood entertainment. How will our genetic jackpot overlords enthrall, entertain, insult, and debase us in the coming months while taking our money and using it to promote causes that will destroy everything we hold dear? Horror fans can look forward to a fresh take on the zombie genre with a chilling tale of an urban legend resurrected from the grave and brought back to shrieking life as a soulless entity that devours the brains of journalists. That's the plot of Russian Collusion Cemetery, starring Michael Knowles as Rachel Maddow or vice versa. It tells of a grieving pundit's attempt to resurrect her beloved conspiracy by burying it in cursed ground or on MSNBC, whichever is more horrific. The terrifying beast that results is finally destroyed when, after devouring Brett Baer at Fox, it runs out of journalists with brains. Marvel will continue to try to ride the intersectional wave to the top of the box office with its new hero, Woke Man, or possibly woman. The first transgender superhero, or maybe heroine. The origin story tells how Guido Maldon, a mixed martial artist, joins the Avengers after being bit by a radioactive venereal disease that transforms him into a woman with the amazing power to beat up every other woman on Earth. Sequels are already in the pipeline, including Woke Man 2, really big fight with a lot of different superheroes, Woke Man 3, even bigger fight, and Woke Man 4, utter make-believe catastrophe that will be explained away in the next movie. So 30-year-old males will have a lot to look forward to instead of going out on dates. And of course, on HBO, we'll finally find out whether the White Walker armies of the dead will triumph and seize the throne or Donald Trump will win re-election. Trigger warning, I'm Andrew Klavan. This is The Andrew Klavan Show.
I feel hunky-dunky, life is tickety-boo. Birds are winging, also singing hunky-dunky-doo. Ship-shaped, ipsy-topsy, the world is zippity-zing. It's hurrah, hooray, it makes me want to sing. Oh, hurrah, hooray. Oh, hooray, hurrah.
Okay, that opening, guys, back at the Daily Wire, that opening was for Jacob Airy. I want you to go into the office, into the writer's room, and smack him upside the head and tell him to get off Twitter before he hurts somebody. He's been fanboying himself to death over the new Marvel movies and Batman movies, and it must stop. I leave town for 2 minutes. Here's a strange thing. For 2 years, the Democrat media complex hurled Russia collusion conspiracy theories at the president of the United States. It wasn't possible Trump just beat Hillary Clinton because she was a corrupt, soulless machine pol who despised non-elite Americans as deplorable. No, it must have been because Trump, Boris, and Natasha went after Moose and Squirrel. I can't remember the whole story now, or something like that. Not only has that narrative collapsed, but another narrative of Obama-era malfeasance at the FBI and DOJ has arisen that makes Trump's talk about the D.C. swamp seem pretty realistic. Now, according to a recent CBS poll, 54% of Americans feel the Mueller probe was politically motivated, while only 37% think it was justified, and most of them are Rachel Maddow pretending to be a lot of different people. But for all that, another poll at 538 has Trump's approval rating basically stuck around 42 and his disapproval rating still up around 53. That's the second worst approval rating. At this point in his term, only Reagan had worse, and the worst disapproval rating ever. The economy's good, jobs open all over the place, the ISIS caliphate is toast, we're out of the horrible Iranian deal and the silly Paris Accord, and the opposition are a bunch of baby-killing communists. Why can't President the Donald get some love? Well, I can think of at least a couple of reasons. But first, we're going to talk about Lightstream. You know Lightstream because you know what it's like to spend money with a credit card. I do it all the time, and then I see the bill, and I'm like, whoa, that was actual money. I didn't know that. I thought it was just this wonderful plastic magical thing. But not only am I now in debt, I've got an interest rate that is out of this world. That's like, I don't know, just look at the back of your card. It'll tell you it's insane, the interest rates on credit card. But you can refinance your credit card balances and save with a credit card consolation loan from Lightstream. You get a fixed rate as low as 6.14% APR with autopay, and you get a loan from $5,000 to $100,000. There are no fees, and you can even get your money as soon as the day you apply. Plus, Lightstream is a division of SunTrust Bank, one of the nation's largest financial institutions, so you can have complete peace of mind. If you want to save even more, my listeners get an additional interest rate discount. The only way to get this discount is to go to lightstream.com/Andrew. That's LIGHTSTREAM.com/Andrew. Andrew. This is subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.50% auto pay discount. Terms and conditions apply, and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Andrew for more information. Every time I read that, I want to bring in Ben and have him read it so much faster than I can. It would make so much more sense. All right. It's the mailbag today. It is, in fact, the mailbag oh my God, stop screaming at me. I can't. I'm very sensitive. I can't. It's the mailbag, and we will answer all your questions. God, stop. We will answer all your questions, and there are some really good questions today. Jonathan Bernstein, a commentator over at Bloomberg News, he's writing about Trump's frozen approval rating, and he says, the truth is, we don't know why Trump is so unpopular, especially at a moment of relative peace and prosperity for the U.S. It could be the various scandals. It could be his refusal to behave like a normal president. It could be that his divisive campaign permanently alienated a lot of people. It could also be the specific unpopular public policy positions he holds, whether it's the tax law, healthcare, immigration, his border wall, or some combination. But whatever the reason, it's hard to believe that a president could be reelected when more than half the country thinks he's doing a bad job. And if nothing so far has shaken Trump's unpopularity, what's going to happen in the next 19 months to do so? Now, I have to tell you, at this point, and I've had ups and downs with Donald Trump, but at this point, I think it would be an absolute tragedy if Trump were not reelected. We know who the opposition is. We hear them talking the crazy stuff they're saying, refusing to vote to save a baby born alive. I mean, my question about not wanting to save a baby born alive, no matter how that happens, if a baby born alive isn't a person, who is? What does that even mean? But the thing that got me just yesterday is Christiane Amanpour, journalist. Christiane Amanpour, journalist, has been a lefty, biased lefty, and every time anybody challenges her on her biases, she gets very, very haughty. She sits up straight and says, "What do you mean that I am Christiane Amanpour?" So I think it was yesterday, she's interviewing James Comey, Mr. Sanctimony, and even he is appalled by what this journalist, now this is a journalist protected by what you may recall, we like to call here the First Amendment. Here she is asking James Comey what the FBI could have done that would have helped Donald Trump lose. Listen to this.
Of course, lock her up was a feature of the 2016 Trump campaign. Do you, in retrospect, wish that people like yourself, the head of the FBI, the people in charge of law and order, had shut down that language, that it was dangerous potentially, that it could have created violence, that it's kind of hate speech? Should that have been allowed?
That's not a role for government to play. The beauty of this country is people can say what they want, even if it's misleading and it's demagoguery. The people who should have shut it down were Republicans who understand the rule of law and the values that they claim to stand for. Shame on them, but it wasn't a role for government to play.
That to me is utterly amazing. Christiane Amanpour, journalist, asking whether the FBI should have shut down chants of lock Hillary up. I mean, typical political chants. I mean, typical of a political rally in a heated period of time. Yesterday, we heard the Democrats chanting a Marxist chant written by a cop killer who's escaped prison and run away to Cuba, as they called her a leader, and all the big Democrats were going to talk at that gathering. Shame on the Republicans for saying lock up Hillary Clinton after James Comey let her go. I mean, in public, in front of us, he's basically saying that the DOJ, that Obama's DOJ was so corrupt he couldn't trust them because Loretta Lynch had met with Clinton on the plane. He couldn't trust them to do the right thing. He was admitting that the DOJ was corrupt. Anyway, shame on the Republicans, but at least James Comey, kudos to James Comey for not saying, yeah, I am the most righteous person in America. Maybe I should have shut down speech I didn't like with the power of the FBI behind me. Kudos to at least he is, maybe he's just old enough, I don't know, to shut down a journalist who wants to silence free speech. She should be fired. That's a fireable offense to me, to have a journalist talk about shutting down free speech through the FBI. That is a fireable offense. She should not be on TV again after that. That's absolutely, it really is amazing that people on the right get shut down for like random comments, but that was a conscious question that she asked, that she should be shut down entirely. So the opposition's got nothing. I mean, they've got nothing on Trump, and they will not leave. You can tell they've got nothing because they won't leave the Russian collusion thing alone. I got to say, the Washington Free Beacon put together this basically this montage. It's a little fudged. It's got a couple of movie scenes in it, but it's basically a montage of the talking points making their way from the DNC through the press. Is the Russian collusion investigation over? Listen to this montage.
I don't think it's done.
This is just the beginning.
I think this is far from over.
This is just the beginning.
There are a lot of open questions.
This is not over.
But this isn't over.
I don't think it's over until the Mueller report sings.
It is certainly nowhere near the end.
Neil Katyal, Ken, has said that this is just the beginning.
The end of his investigation, but it's just the beginning.
Or the end of the beginning, not the beginning of the end.
It's just the beginning of the fight.
Just the beginning.
It's just the beginning.
This is just the beginning.
So it begins.
Is this really just the beginning?
This is just the beginning.
The beginning of an argument.
This is just the beginning.
This is kind of just the beginning.
This is just the beginning.
Is this just the beginning of the beginning?
This isn't something's over and let's reflect on what just happened.
It wasn't over. It still isn't over.
Democrats are going to argue this is just the beginning.
This is just the beginning.
I think we're really at the beginning, maybe the middle.
That this is the beginning of more questioning and more witnessing.
With more questions today than answers.
This is only the beginning, not the end.
Nothing is over until we decide it is.
So that's the press. You know. Remember when they ran that thing? Who was it? I think it was Sinclair did an ad, and somebody put them all together as if every anchor on Sinclair was saying the same thing. This is generic, though. This is not coming down from anyone from above, except that it is, because the minute they get the talking point, they're all on board. This is just the beginning. They got nothing. I got to play one more thing just for absolute laughs. Greg Gutfeld put this out, and it is brilliant. Rachel Maddow, if you haven't been watching Rachel Maddow, it's some of the best entertainment on TV. She really did build this Russian collusion narrative into a vast conspiracy with all kinds of details, and Gutfeld's crew pasted it together. I got to admit, it's a little bit unfair because you could do this to anybody, but it is actually reflective of what her show has sounded like in the last couple of days, and it's really just worth hearing.
This guy Kalimnik keeps turning up again and again. Konstantin Kalimnik, he's still Russian military intelligence. Kalimnik, a short man who goes by Kostya, this guy Konstantin Kalimnik. Aluminum smelters, big aluminum smelters, giant aluminum smelters. He started sleeping at his smelters, sabotage in his smelters, came to his smelters. Very brutal start, right? Sleeping in the smelters. The next person who would be criminally charged in the Robert Mueller Special Counsel investigation bingo game. Did you have a square marked Alex Vanderswan? Alex Vanderswan. Chromium. Atomic number 24. The brother of the guy who's got the chromium plant. The guy who was the brother of the chromium plant. Chromium plant in Kazakhstan. Chromium plant in Kazakhstan. Next time you see something chrome plated, take a deep breath, cough it out, and think of the Trump Soho. Big story. Tick, 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 tick. Boom. Started ticking again. Tick, 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 tick. 4 hours later. Boom, boom. You're stressing me out. He starts tick, tick, ticking again. The boom goes off twice. First boom, tick, tick, tick. Boom, tick, tick, ticking. Second boom. Bombshell, the guy who ticks. Tick, 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 tick. Boom, boom again. Tick, 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 tick. The boom. Tick, tick, tick. Tick, tick, tick. Ahead of time, ahead of the scoop, and then boom.
That's great. That's from Gutfeld. Just absolutely hilarious. And even though, like I said, it's a little bit unfair, because you could do that to anyone. We could all have a supercut put together like that. Even so, it is fair because it captures the spirit of her show. It's amazing to me that Alex Jones is deplatformed everywhere, but she's not. I mean, why isn't she just as fake news as he is? I mean, I'm not praising Alex Jones, although I don't think anybody should be deplatformed. I think we should let everybody speak. But if he's gone, shouldn't Rachel Maddow be gone too? Anyway, of course, where the media leads, the Democrats follow, or vice versa. It's impossible to tell them apart at this point. And, they're Adam Schiff and Jerry Nadler, the usual suspects, are calling for the Mueller report to be released. They're calling for it to be released. And they keep saying, Attorney General Barr keeps saying he's going to release it. And some of the stuff might be grand jury testimony, which shouldn't be released to the public because it's not fair. But they're acting as if some great conspiracy is going on. Here is Nadler. Now, we want to get the right clip because this is Nadler today saying that it should be released. Have we got this one? Yeah, it's number 13. Yeah.
And the fact is, there was an investigation for 22 months, and now the Attorney General in 4 days, an Attorney General who auditioned for his job by writing essentially that the investigation was wrong in itself and that a president could never commit obstruction of justice, which is an extreme view. And so he's not the proper person to oversee this or to decide what gets public. And we have to see all the material and the underlying, to see the report and the underlying documents to protect the public and to protect the rule of law.
Now, it is provable, it's provable that this is completely political maneuvering, okay? These are not people serving the public. These are not people trying to get at the truth. This is purely political maneuvering. How do we know? Here, courtesy of Fox and Friends, is that very same, that you'll know him, you love him, the very same Jerry Nadler talking back in Bill Clinton days when they wanted to release the Starr report about Clinton's perjury and whether he'd perjured himself and how and all this stuff. And here is Nadler talking about that then.
As a matter of decency and protecting people's privacy rights, people who may be totally innocent, third parties, what must not be released at all. It's grand jury material. It represents statements which may or may not be true by various witnesses, salacious material, all kinds of material that it would be unfair to release.
So not only did Nadler used to be a great big fat guy, but I mean, you got to give him credit for something. At least he deflated a little bit. But not only that, he's just on whatever side he happens to be on. These guys make all these speeches about their sovereign duty to the public and all this what a noble quest they're on for the truth, and it's just all political. And at some point, you would just think that this would be reflected in the polls. And not only that reflected in the polls, but of course, the policy. At some point, you would just hope that people would say, this group of folks is nuts. That thing with the Green New Deal, basically that Alexandria Occasional Cortex is going to sit in boardrooms and tell them how to run their businesses, and we're going to change the way the cows eat so they don't pass gas, and we're not going to be able to fly. Trump, here is Trump. I wish I could bronze this Trump. I wish I could just freeze this Trump and keep him at this Trump level, because when he does this, he's brilliant. Here's Trump going off. He's at the National Republican Congressional Committee. He's making a speech, and he goes off on the Green New Deal. And if this were Trump every day, I think his approval rating would be at 60%.
The Green New Deal, done by a young bartender, 29 years old. A young bartender, wonderful young woman. The Green New Deal. But it's crazy. The first time I heard it, I said, that's the craziest thing. You have senators that are professionals, that you guys know, that have been there for a long time, white hair, everything perfect, and they're standing behind her and they're shaking, they're petrified of her. We support the Green New Deal. How about the woman from Hawaii, the senator from Hawaii? Highly nice woman, right? Oh, I'm glad I didn't say it. I'm going to get great points from my wife for not saying that. But she was so angry to men, right? Remember, she was screaming at men. And then they asked her about the Green New Deal. I love it. They said, yeah, but you don't allow airplanes anymore, so you can't get to Hawaii. Oh, we have to work on something. So somebody jokingly said, we'll build a train to Hawaii, and she actually thought it was a decent idea. So now she supports it because she thinks they're going to build a train to Hawaii. But they really believe this stuff. And it's the craziest thing. They believe it. And we will have to do something. But don't do it too early, please. Don't kill it. Because we want to be able to run against it. If they beat me with the Green New Deal, I deserve to lose.
All right, so that is one Trump, and I love you forget that this guy is a professional entertainer. This is a guy who had a hit show. He knew when you have a hit television show, people don't know this, but like every day they are reading the ratings that come in and going through the details and looking at the statistics, and they're adjusting to everything. They're always adjusting what they're selling to make sure they're selling it to the greatest number of people, to make sure they're doing more of what people like, less of what people don't like. This is a guy who knows how to appeal to the public, and he does when he does stuff like that. But he's also a guy, he's a creation of a certain kind of culture. And he's also a guy who sometimes goes off and says, this is when he was attacking the Russian collusion thing. This is cut number 14.
So, the Russia hoax proves more than ever that we need to finish exactly what we came here to do: drain the swamp. The Democrats have to now decide whether they will continue defrauding the public with ridiculous bullshit, partisan investigations, or whether they will apologize to the American people.
So, I played that with he said the word, the BS, and, I played that and I heard my wife in the other room, she called out, "Was that the president of the United States?" And I was like, never mind. No, never mind. Women don't like the guy. I mean, he's gruff, he's harsh, he's coarse, he's all those things. A lot of people don't like him. And of course, the press has created a world in which it is almost criminal to like him. I mean, a teenager wears a MAGA hat and they call the kid a racist. I mean, that was a shameful. Shame on them. But they do that. He's a white supremacist. They push that myth, that hoax about him saying there were fine people in the white supremacist movement, which he never said. And, they make it so it's gotten dangerous. There's a piece over at American Thinker by Lloyd Marcus. He says, "It is outrageous that supporting Trump is dangerous." And he says, "My car, which has a Trump-Pence bumper sticker, was keyed. While pumping gas, a motorist seemed impressed by my courage to have a Trump bumper sticker." And by the way, I mean, I don't put bumper stickers on my car, but I wouldn't do it. I don't think. I mean, I would be worried about somebody keying my car too. People have told me they're afraid to wear a MAGA cap or have a Trump sign on their lawn. Having to feel so afraid to express our political views is outrageous. And this is something especially among blacks and maybe Hispanics too. Trump once bragged that he was going to win the Hispanic vote, and he actually did a little bit better than Mitt Romney. And no matter how often the press tells us that he is alienating Hispanics with his tough stance on the border, he's not. The polls show that so far he's not. There is, in my mind, a real question, a true question about how blacks are feeling about Donald Trump, because things are going much better in black neighborhoods. But I know they've got to be, you just have got to be intimidated by every black authority figure, every black spokesman, everyone who pretends to speak for the blacks, telling you that this guy is a white supremacist, which makes absolutely no sense given the facts on the ground. I mean, luckily Candace Owens is out there at least pushing another message, but it's hard. It's hard to do that when there's this tidal wave of voices telling blacks, this guy is your enemy, this guy's your enemy. But let's just say what I believe, which is that black people are just the same as everybody else, except a different color than white people. They see what's going on. They got eyes to see with. They've got brains to think with. I can't help but wonder if a lot of black people are going to go in and vote for Trump and lie about it. I mean, why? What's in it for them? That's why there's a curtain on the voting booth. What's in it for them to tell the truth? How would people ever know? If they did, I mean, except for maybe charting locations, but if they come out of exit polls and say they didn't vote for him, but they did, I think he may have win something there. But what is it? What is it that is keeping Trump mired? First, I think part of it is that coarseness. You heard that he has got the second worst approval rating since Ronald Reagan. And of course, Ronald Reagan came back and won by a landslide. I think there were other planets that voted for Ronald Reagan when he ran the second time. And the first, people don't remember, but first, his new policies hurt the economy because he had to cause some unemployment to get the incredible inflation down. And then things started taking off as the cut regs and the lower taxes did what they always do, which is spur the economy. Trump had the economy. The economy was ready to explode. It was just Obama with his stupid policies sitting on it. So he hasn't got that. And Ronald Reagan came back and he spoke with grace. He attacked the Democrats. He spoke up for America, but he spoke with grace. He spoke with politeness. He was a product of a different culture. What culture is Donald Trump a product of? He's a product of the coarse, vulgar culture that the left created. It wasn't right-wingers. It wasn't William F. Buckley going around saying, yeah, everybody can curse now. Yeah, that'll be great. Everyone can say four-letter words on TV, and there'll be nudity. It'll be great. It wasn't the right saying that. It was Hollywood and the left saying, oh, yes, you're just an old fuddy-duddy if you don't like this stuff. So Trump is a product of that culture. The coarseness that he speaks with is a product of their culture, of leftist culture. There's no way that a person can be created by that culture and be anything other than a vulgar guy. If that's what hurts him, if that's what hurts him with women, if that's what hurts him with voters, that is going to be a true triumph of leftist culture. They turned a man into themselves so that even when he was promoting different policies, people didn't like him for being the product of left-wing culture. And the other thing is that Shelby Steele article that we spoke about last time, I guess on Monday, that the left has created a new narrative, not of right and left, but of good and bad. A narrative in which we're not talking about policy, we're not talking about principle, we're talking about morality. And in the realm of morality, I think this thing I saw this thing come to pass when I first moved back from England and 9/11 happened, and people were talking as if we were to blame. I remember David Letterman, who was the late night guy at the time, coming on and saying, why do they hate us? And I thought, they're the Taliban. Who gives a rat's if they hate us? Who gives a rat's if they hate us? I mean, I used to be on hotlines. So, I've told you, I've volunteered on suicide hotlines, and women would call me up and they'd say, my husband is beating me. Why does he hate me? Why is he angry at me? And I thought, I couldn't say this, but I would just think like, well, I don't know, but try shooting him and see if that, solves the problem. Because if you're beating up your wife, you're a criminal. You're a villain. The Taliban were villains. The culture changed to look at America not as a principled place that was moving forward in progress toward greater and greater freedom and equality, but as a place that was darkened by its evil past, the slavery and all the other things that hadn't happened, that no other country had any sins, but we had all the sins. And that also is a product of left-wing culture. If Donald Trump is being frozen in place by his own vulgarity created by a leftist culture that excused that, or by a concept of the United States as an evil place rather than as a set of principles that are universal and moral and great and work toward progress and greater freedom, then that is going to be a true triumph of leftist culture against the right, and is going to be a true proof that the right, by ignoring the culture, which it still does, the right turns everything into political arguments. The right turns everything into facts and figures and charts and graphs. The left does not know how to tell a story. It does not care whether they tell stories. It doesn't know how to appreciate stories that are told. And I'll tell you, the wages of losing the culture can be losing the country. And it will truly, truly be a tragedy because the left has gone insane. We got the mailbag coming up. I got to say goodbye to stop yelling at me, please. We got to say goodbye to Facebook and YouTube, but come to dailywire.com, subscribe to dailywire.com. Why? Because you have the money and we want the money. It's very simple. It's a lousy $10 a month, a lousy $100 for the year. I don't have my Leftist Tears tumbler because I'm here at beautiful Hillsdale College, but it's there somewhere filling up with leftist tears as we speak. You can have one too. Plus, you can be in the mailbag. So mailbag coming up.